We read in Luke chapter 10, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Well, that's quite a challenge sometimes, is it not? I mean, we know that we feel love in our hearts, but we also feel that sometimes there's people whose heart isn't feeling as warm and loving. We might refer to somebody as being cold-hearted or warm-hearted. Maybe they have a heart of gold. Maybe they have a big heart. But we use that expression quite often. We know that as we look into somebody's eyes, they are the window to the soul. The heart itself is a physical organ, but it also contains an intelligence. There are 40,000 neurons in the heart, and there is a heart intelligence. It emits an electromagnetic field. It fills and surrounds the body. All around us, up to 15 feet. We like to open that heart intelligence the best way we can so that we can feel more love. We can be more love in this world. We might be opening that channel to the heart through meditation, taking some time to meditate each day, even if it's just for a few minutes, allows us to align more with God. To be in prayer, prayer simply being conscious awareness of God, a sense of oneness with God. We need not be in a place of always pleading or feeling desperate. Rather, prayer can just be a simple connection with God. There are so many ways that we can do this and open our heart space, maybe through Reiki or Qigong or a yoga practice, perhaps with music, with art, with nature. Sometimes just a simple walk in nature can open our hearts when we feel the fullness of love for the earth and our part in it. And of course, we also have loving relationships with our friends, with our family, with God, with the planet Earth, with our pets. I remember using the expression once during a lesson about something warming the cockles of your heart. And somebody asked me, what does that really mean? Well, I checked it out, and it comes from the Latin cochlea. A cockle shell has a winding cavity, goes deep within it. So warming the cockles of your heart is warming the deepest parts of your heart. An open heart will invite experiences and opportunities to you. I'd like to share a story that I came across that opened my heart when I read it, and perhaps it'll open yours too. It's a story of Abby the dog. Somebody wrote this story and shared this. She said, our 14-year-old dog, Abby, died last month. After she passed away, my 4-year-old daughter, Meredith, was crying and talking about how much she missed Abby. She asked if we could write a letter to God so that when Abby got to heaven, God would recognize her. I told her I thought that we could do so, and she dictated these words. Dear God, will you please take care of my dog? She died yesterday and is with you in heaven. I miss her very much. I'm happy that you let me have her as my dog, even though she got sick. I hope you will play with her. She likes to swim and play with balls. I'm sending a picture of her so that when you see her, you will know that she is my dog. And I really miss her. Love, Meredith. Well, we put the letter in an envelope with a picture of Abby and Meredith and addressed it to God/heaven. We put our return address on it. And then Meredith pasted several stamps on the front of the envelope because she said it would take a lot of stamps to get all the way to heaven. That afternoon, she dropped it into the letterbox at the post office. A few days later, she asked if God had gotten the letter. I told her I thought that God probably had. Well, yesterday, there was a package wrapped in gold paper on our front porch. It was addressed to Meredith in an unfamiliar hand. Meredith opened it. Inside was a book by Mr. Rogers called When a Pet Dies. Taped on the inside front cover was the letter we had written to God in its opened envelope. On the opposite page was the picture of Abby and Meredith and this note. Dear Meredith, Abby arrived safely in heaven. Having the picture was a big help, and I recognized her right away. Abby isn't sick anymore. Her spirit is here with me, like it stays in your heart. Abby loved being your dog. Since we don't need our bodies in heaven, I don't have any pockets to keep your picture in, so I'm returning it, sending it with this little book for you to keep, to have something to remember Abby by. Thank you for the beautiful letter, and thank your mother for helping you write it and send it to me. What a wonderful mother you have. I picked her especially for you. I send my blessings every day, and remember that I love you very much. By the way, I'm easy to find. I am wherever there is love. Love God. Even when I read it, I can feel that warmth. Love is powerful. We have a heart, and we also have a soul. The soul is the sum total of our consciousness. That's how we define it in unity. Our spirit is our divine perfection. It is eternal. It is unchanging. The soul can grow or diminish depending on circumstances and our awareness. So one of our opportunities is to continue to look for ways to grow the soul. The soul is the sum total of our consciousness, our conscious mind, our everyday awareness, our subconscious mind, our storehouse of memories, and then the superconsciousness. It's access to divine ideas. That's the awareness of the Spirit of God. Of course, the soul is that which also has different functions of cognition. We have the cognitive mental way of thinking. We have the intuitive, the spiritual understanding. We have the emotional. We have the physical. It's all related to our souls. We are called to grow the soul through our mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical ways. To understand that there is a conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and a superconscious mind. And we grow the soul at least one way by using our heart. Our open heart invites experiences, invites opportunities. I want to share with you a quote from Martha Smock. She was the editor of Daily Word for 35 years, and she wrote a book called Halfway Up the Mountain. She said, "You are a spiritual being, an immortal soul on an immortal journey, and God is with you every step of the way. You are meant for greatness and for mountaintop living." See, we are here to open our hearts and to grow our souls. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind. And love your neighbor as yourself. We are all linked. What we do to one, we do to all. We read in Matthew 25. This is a parable from Jesus. It said, "The king shared a story. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison and you visited me. And then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when was it that we did all these things? Truly, I tell you, just as you did it to one of the least of these, you did it to me. We are here for each other, whether we know it or not. And we have opportunities to grow the soul and open our heart even more. And these opportunities show up at very unexpected times. I read a story about a businessman who had the chance to go off on a business trip to a city far away. And it was going to be an honor. He was going to be honored with some kind of award. And he took his wife with him because they wanted to just get out and travel and really see things. They left their children with a reputable babysitter, and they went on. They were gone for several days. They came back a little bit early, and as they were driving home, they saw smoke. And it wasn't their home, they could tell, but it was a few blocks away. And they thought they would drive over to see where this was coming from. And as they got closer, the man said, that's John's home. He works at the plant that I work at. And they got closer and they saw that the house was on fire, fully engulfed. And there was a woman out front, frantic, crying, screaming. Well, they got out of the car. Mary said, you don't want to get involved with this. He said, no, I have to. So he ran up and the woman said, there's children in the house. And he said, where are they? He said, downstairs in the basement to the right. And so he took a hose, doused himself, and ran in. And he fought his way through the smoke and into that room. And he grabbed these two children. On his way out, he thought he heard some whimpering, but he got these children out. He dropped them off. He said, is there anybody else in there? Yes, there's two more children in this room. So he ran back in. His wife said, don't do it. The house is about to collapse. He ran in and he could hardly breathe. He could hardly see. And he ran around till he found the room where these children were. And he couldn't see a thing, but he grabbed them. And he ran back outside. And he said there was something vaguely familiar about this bundle that he was carrying. And he got out, set the children on the ground, only to find that they were his children. The babysitter had dropped them off at the neighbor's while she went shopping. We don't know when we're going to have the opportunity to grow our souls. God has a way of allowing us to be in the right place at the right time, opportunities to grow the soul. I want to share a story a man shared that I thought was also quite meaningful from a standpoint of soul growth. He said, I was walking down a dimly lit street late one evening when I heard muffled screams coming from behind a clump of bushes. Alarmed, I slowed down to listen, and I panicked when I realized that what I was hearing was the unmistakable sounds of a struggle. Heavy grunting, frantic scuffling, tearing of fabric. Only yards from where I stood, a woman was being attacked. Should I get involved? I was frightened for my own safety, and I cursed myself for having suddenly decided to take a new route home that night. What if I became another statistic? Shouldn't I just run to the nearest phone and call the police? Although it seemed like an eternity, the deliberations in my head had only taken seconds. But already the girl's cries were growing weaker. I knew I had to act fast. How could I walk away from this? No, I finally resolved I could not turn my back on the fate of this unknown woman, even if it meant risking my own life. He said, I'm not a brave man, nor am I athletic. And I don't know where I found the moral courage and the physical strength. But once I had finally resolved to help the girl, I became strangely transformed. I ran behind the bushes and pulled the assailant off the woman. Grappling, we fell to the ground where we wrestled for a few minutes until the attacker jumped up and escaped. Panting hard, I scrambled upright and approached the girl who was crouched behind a tree, sobbing. In the darkness, I could barely see her outline, but I could certainly sense her trembling shock. Not wanting to frighten her further, I at first spoke to her from a distance. I said, "It's okay," I said soothingly. "The man ran away. You are safe now." There was a long pause. Then I heard the words uttered in wonder, in amazement. "Dad, is that you?" Then from behind the tree, out stepped my youngest daughter, Catherine. We are here to open our hearts and grow our souls. It doesn't mean that we have to have some dramatic change happen in our lives. It's just the small things or the big things that can make a difference. Every day, we have the opportunity to make a choice to react or respond. You might find yourself reacting to somebody's look or way of speaking or their way of driving. You have a reaction, but you could also respond. You don't have to make excuses for them, but you can respond by being a little bit thoughtful, realizing that we are all here to grow our souls. We don't know what it takes for some other individual to grow their soul, but we know that just by observing it, there's an opportunity for us to see something in a different light if we need to come from a place of love. What's fun to do is to consider a random act of kindness, especially an anonymous random act of kindness, to do something for somebody totally unexpectedly, maybe a group, maybe an individual. Even a smile can make a huge difference. What did I hear recently? A smile is like a light in the window of the soul, indicating that the heart is at home. I love that. We can also grow our souls and open our hearts with pure acceptance. There's a lot of different opinions in the world, especially today, but I suppose always. And some we don't agree with at all. But that doesn't mean you can't accept another human being for having a human experience. I've said before that everybody is right. You want to think that maybe your way is right and somebody else's is not. Well, they're thinking the same thing. But in truth, from our individual perspectives, we're all right. So let us start from that place and be in a place of accepting people as doing the best they can. And maybe our job is to show others through the way we live that we can find peace, love, kindness, openness, acceptance, non-judgment. As we demonstrate that, we're not only growing our souls, but we're growing the soul of our community, our immediate community, our family community, our church community, and the greater community. Other ways to demonstrate love, of course, to open our heart, is to find ways to help others, to volunteer. I'm sure that every church has opportunities for volunteering, but there's other organizations that can use our help as well. Let's come from a place of compassion, from empathy, from understanding. Our opportunity is to open our hearts. Our opportunity is to grow our souls. Open your heart today. Grow your soul today. Remember, you are an immortal soul on an immortal journey. And as God is with you every step of the way, you are meant for greatness and mountaintop living. I send you much love. God bless you.